It was bad, man. I'm not going to go into all the details, but just it went to the point of life and death. It was literally life and death. I'm like, how am I going to escape this? Like, I need to start my life over. So I'm like, okay, let's move to Cape Town.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Catch Up Podcast. As always, I'm super excited to be here today. I'm your host, Blake the Champ, joined by
Jared Smith, aka J Smooth.
And before we get the party started today, we want to send a big shout out to our sponsor. Thank you, Crocs, for powering all of the episodes and allowing us to meet such important and powerful people, you know, full of inspiration, full of motivation. We love it so much. And then a big shout out to Road for keeping us in top shape with all this quality equipment. We appreciate you guys as well. Today on the episode, we have a very special guest. Let me say a very special DJ, a very unique spin on what a DJ is and what music has developed to be in our time. He is also a YouTuber and he is one of the best live loop artists in the world, coming all the way from South Africa. Today we are joined by Reinhardt Buhr. Let's make some noise, guys.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you for
Reinhardt,
having me.
it's a pleasure to have you, brother. How are you today?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
It's good to be here.
Nice. Excited. I'm excited to hear your story. I have lots of questions, loads of questions. But firstly, just thank you for being here. Thank you for freeing up your schedule.
Awesome.
We know that you're super busy. We know that you're traveling quite a bit as well, you know. So thanks for being here today. And I'll jump straight into it. You know, your title, your career choice is very unique. It's not very common. We know that in the DJ world, we see a lot of upcoming DJs today. But what you do is very specific, very different, you know, very niche market. So take us back to the very beginning. I like to start from the beginning. Where did it all start? Was this always the dream for you? Were you always interested in music? Were you playing beats on the desk at school? How did it begin? Where did it start for you, bro?
All right. So a lot of musicians that I know, most musicians that I know, they started making music and playing instruments when they were in their mother's womb. So they were like already like making music, like 4 years old prodigies, And I had no interest in music when growing up. Absolutely nothing. Zero. Like started listening to music when I was like 12-ish, there around about, like really listening. But no interest, just like being a nerd, gaming, just like nothing really interesting. So I thought, you know, when I go out of school, I'm going to become a 3D animator. Nothing music related. So school, yeah, it was a bit of a rough patch. But long story short, I got to when I thought, okay, it's now time to go study, go out of school. That plans fell apart. So nothing happened. I just did local works, very humble local works in the town I grew up, George, Western Cape, and that was how I started, very very small, and then about age of 19, one of my friends. So we were like just this gamer group. We didn't know any musicians at all, and this one friend just bought a guitar and he started playing, and I was like, wow. Is this like, you know, this is pretty cool, like seeing it in front of me. And I was like, I needed to get a guitar, like just, you know, this is something new out of my box, like got a guitar about a week later and just started teaching
Jamming.
ourselves, you know, like
And
we didn't know what we were doing.
Out of interest sake, at what age were you?
19.
19, okay, cool.
Yeah. So out of school, getting a day job and just learning acoustic guitar, you know, just playing for ourselves. We didn't know what we were doing. If you know anything about music, we were actually learning songs on like tabs, like those little numbers.
Yeah.
And those numbers, most of those songs were in different tunings, but we didn't even know. So we were playing the wrong tunings, but we had a lot of fun. And just fast forward, I discovered a guy on YouTube that was like the Spanish flamenco guitarist. And when I saw that, I was like, man, I got to like start learning this. I was very inspired. And then just teaching myself, watching YouTube videos, 2 years in, playing the Spanish flamenco guitar style just for ourselves. And then one day we were like at this steak bar next to the N2 highway, and I saw this musician playing at this place, small little pub, and I asked him like about his music, and he asked me what do I do, and I was like, oh, just learning this flamenco guitar thing. I'm like just playing music 2 years now probably. And the lady, the owner of the place, overheard the conversation. She's like, hey, come next week and play a show here. I'll give you 150 Rand plus a steak. I was like, what? I'm there with my parents, didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, okay. You know, I accepted it. And I was like, okay. I went back home and just like practiced my face off. Stressing because this is new to me. Week later, go there. And when I arrived, there was like Harley Davidson's. It's like this kind of biker pub. So very intimidating. Like I was stressing.
So anxiety levels high.
Man, I never played a gig. I didn't even know what the term gig was until that day somebody told me about this. So I was like stressing. My brother came with me and I was like, just had a little amp and a Spanish guitar, nothing else. So I just started playing for these people in this bar. And I'm like 20 years old. And the people loved it. I was like, people were going crazy. They were tipping me. They made like 600 Rand. I mean, back then, 600 Rand.
A lot of money.
For somebody that was doing a day job that paid them 2,000 Rand a month. Yeah. I was like, okay, I can do this. So, and then I was hooked from there on.
Sorry to cut you in. How was the steak?
The best steak. Definitely. And if you ever go Garden Route, I think they're still open. Joplin's. Very good steak.
Okay, nice.
Good.
Cool. Good reward for hard days work, hard nights work.
Exactly. So yeah, started playing local shows in the area and just met a other bandmate. We started like he was just playing drums and just fast forwarding through the whole thing. And we were like, hey, we should start a band. And I was like, okay, what are we going to call this band? He's like scrolling through a magazine and he's like, Wild Letters. Let's call ourselves Wild Letters. I'm like, Wild Letters? Okay. Wild Letters. Right. So that's what our name was. Like we were Wild Letters for quite a long time, like 4 or 5 years almost, like very tight, played. Open for Prime Circle shortly after that. Was like everything just took off and we started touring locally in South Africa a lot. And just the whole, like, my whole, like, mindset just went from, didn't know what I was going to do to all of a sudden music. But still, I'm learning music every day because I didn't know music. So my ears are still developing. I'm, like, literally tone deaf. I can't sing. Every day, till to this day, every day is a learning curve in terms of music, which I love because it's always something new. But back then, I was just like pouring everything into it. So I had this day job and I was like, you know what? It's hard to do gigs because gigs meant partying and that was late night parties. And that was like the cycle of like getting home 5 a.m. and then going to work, 8 a.m. And I was like, man, I got to like do something about this. I couldn't. So I just like quit my day job and I went full into music from there. Best decision of my life, unfortunately. The entertainment industry can be brutal if you're not careful. A majority of it is brutal in terms of drugs and alcohol. So that scene gripped me. So we went to the island of Zanzibar for a 3-month tour. And
how old were you at this point, roughly?
21.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went to Zanzibar back in 2010, roundabout. Amazing, like our first time ever out of South Africa, which is not like too far out of South Africa. It's just off the coast of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. So we went to, and back then I was just drinking, like nothing too crazy, but just drinking was my thing. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this stuff. I'm keeping away from this stuff. Like I know how this is destroying because I could see my bandmate being completely, utterly destroyed from it. So 3 months into Zanzibar tour, I didn't touch the stuff. And then fast forward back in South Africa, going well with touring extensively. Next moment, I'm addicted to it, like full on. Hit like in the deep waters.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, in my mindset, I was always like, never will I get addicted to a point where I'm like, oh man, I'm actually full on into this now.
Yeah.
I cannot even play a show without having that stuff. So
I wanted to ask you, sorry, before we
Yeah.
carry on, I wanted to ask you, when you started talking in the beginning, you mentioned school being a tough time for you.
yeah,
Can we just go back there
Sure.
quickly before we go
yeah.
too
I
far
did
ahead?
fast forward quick.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I just don't want to miss because I feel like
course.
I feel like there's a
Sure.
lot there.
Definitely.
So you grew up brothers and sisters. What
One-
school did you go to? How was it like at school?
Cool. Cool.
Challenges there.
Sweet. So one brother, 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
Also a rebel, and like back then, partied hard, and growing up as very like insecure, being a nerd, being just a gamer, like very like isolated, and like when I was like 15, I discovered like, hey, alcohol brings me out of this insecurity. I can actually be somebody that I'm not, and so I started obviously back then partying very hard, and just being in school, growing up, as I said, didn't have any musical dreams or aspirations or anything, and just being insecure and finding myself in that, which was it led up to obviously everything that I will get into now, but that was pretty just being a nerd in school, gaming friends.
Yeah, it's amazing how I know I can relate to that, and I'm sure Blake, maybe you can as well. You know, when we go through difficult times in our lives, we can so easily turn to unhealthy things to help us, cope, navigate those situations. But they help us now, but hurt us later.
Exactly.
They might make us feel good in the moment, but the next day we got the regret and bigger problems.
Exactly.
Because I know for me, I also struggled with insecurity growing up, and that's why I chose the wrong friends and chose to do some of the things I did, try and make myself feel better.
Yeah.
And I think for me, substances didn't make me someone I wasn't. It helped me be myself.
Right.
It helped me relax.
Yeah.
So it helped me. Yeah, it helped me just be a little bit calmer, more regulated, and able to maybe engage with society a bit better. Yes, I was a bit wild, but it just gave me that extra confidence,
Yeah.
false confidence, I suppose.
I want to challenge you on that one because we love a good conversation. And just because of the season that I'm going through now, that I've learned about myself and so on, with alcohol, I think that it's become a norm for everybody. We were talking about this like this morning, not too long ago. Like the routine would be you work the entire week and you celebrate on the weekend. That's the average cycle, right?
Yeah.
But you interrupt the growth process because in the week you're growing, you're constantly developing yourself, you're working on your business, and then the weekend comes and now you get drunk and you actually have to restart again because you kill that frequency and that momentum.
Yeah.
So like you said now, where I'm challenging you, I'm saying, did it make you more of who you were? Did it make you yourself? Or did it stunt the growth a little bit by numbing you from the feelings you needed to feel to grow? Because I feel like by drinking, I get to escape.
Yeah.
But when you come back, it's 10 times worse.
Yeah.
You still have to face what you need to face.
Yeah.
You still need to grow where you need to grow in areas of your life that you need to develop. And I feel like drinking for me personally, I enjoyed it. When I drink, I probably will always enjoy it. That's why it's alcohol.
Yeah.
But it's not going to let me reach my full potential. It won't allow me to reach my full potential. Yeah. So now I've decided as a lifestyle, I'm going to tap into my full potential. And that means no matter what, I'm excluding everything else. Just keeping it sober all the way. And it's tough, because you get excluded from friends groups. You don't get invites anymore. And honestly, it's no problem because you must expect it. It's just not part of their world. And you may be seen as boring. But what should excite you is the levels that you're going to reach is beyond your own imagination and expectation of yourself. And look at what happened to you in your life. So I'm just sitting here thinking, this guy started at 90 with his dream. Most people start, like you say, when they're very young. Yeah. And you started quite late in life. But look at the success that you could find. So the miracles is waiting. And I think that we mustn't fall trap to the idea that substances are going to save you or make you the person that you need to be. You can become that person without anything. Yeah. So I just wanted to challenge you on that to say,
there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth in that. I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. Like, I think we drink because there's certain uncomfortable feelings and we need to feel them. So yeah, there's probably something to take away from that for sure. For me, what I meant by that was like when I used to drink as a youngster, obviously there were those uncomfortable feelings, and I felt like I could just be a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
So it was there was escaping for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, I could just be in my mind like more human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it numbs the pain. We call it the pain. But there's something necessary about that pain. Because when
For
do you
sure.
grow the most? Through pain or through comfortability?
Definitely.
Through the pain.
Right.
So the pain's actually a gift. And
for sure.
you numbing the gift. You
Pain's the
numbing
medication, not the alcohol.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go, brother.
Amazing.
Cool. So, bro,
Awesome.
just wanted to touch on that. I also had the same question to take you back to high school when you mentioned that, like, did you have a tough time? Did you face bullies? Like, what was it? Was it something that, like, set you up for the future, that stuck with you? But you answered already, just saying, generalizing that because you considered yourself to be a nerd and you were quite introverted, maybe.
Still.
Till today, your natural self.
Yeah.
You found that through alcohol, you were able to express yourself a bit more confidently. And
So they say.
Yeah. And
I
then-
was a different case though, but yeah.
and that takes us to the point that you were just making before we cut you off. So now we pick up on that. You are in Zanzibar. You hit the season. Take us away.
Yeah. So fast forward through Zanzibar, just still partying, and but I mean I'm talking about like partying where you get home and you're like, how did I get home? How was I even driving?
Yeah.
Like it's terrible. Like to think about. Like I should have been locked up like 10 times, like easily, and I would have deserved it. But I'll get back to all that through through Zanzibar. Then next moment I know because like I had this like defense against hardcore drugs, and I was like, no, never. But the alcohol took the defense away completely. Next moment, I'm addicted. I'm like, I don't even know how to happen. So that's the problem with too much drinking. Obviously, I'm not saying drinking in general is wrong, but in my experience, that was the case. And then I got hooked. I mean, yes, I couldn't even play a show without being high. Like not. I'm not talking doobies. I'm talking about hardcore. And most of the time, you didn't even know what was in the stuff. That's the worst part. You get it from this guy you don't even know next to the road, and it's just like, wow. The fact that you trust something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Cost a lot of money as well. And then the problem was you could go on for days without sleeping, and you could just drink and not get drunk. So that was a very destructive lifestyle. And then obviously my job was entertaining people. So when people are entertained, they're drunk, they're partying. So you're in that environment.
Yeah.
So that's your office, literally. And that went on for years and years until the band broke up because of exactly that. We were just after almost 5 years, tensions was too high. The drugs cause comebacks, which means like when you get sober, you get depressed, you get because now your serotonin levels are completely destroyed. You need that high again. You're feeling depressed. Everything irritates you. It's a bad cycle. So you just keep going. You need more money, and it just never stops. It just literally never stops. And because you're in that entertainment world, I'm looking at like famous DJs and everybody that's killing themselves. I actually watched the documentary on Avicii last night on Netflix. I was like, man, poor guy, like really like amazing human being, but just like in that environment, constantly just touring the world, people just hanging on him, like just want to speak to him nonstop. And then doing drugs and partying like that, man, like with the traveling on top of that. I mean, traveling on its own is like completely exhausting.
It's the dark side, eh?
Sure.
The dark hours that you have to work also.
Yeah. And then you just do that every day. So that was the life. I mean, you talk about me starting music 19. I would say I started my life when I was 28, probably. That's when it really like
It's deep.
That's when 2016. So when was that? I don't even know. That's how many years ago?
8 years.
8 years.
9 years.
9 years.
No, no.
Okay, so 9 years ago was my turning point, I would say.
And then what was the crossover like? Because now you're putting that behind you,
Yeah.
choosing to move forward. The band breaks up, so
Band breaks up. Yeah.
you're
Hard,
going solo.
bad breakup. Like it's like a divorce in a sense, but just yeah, it's great because you with each other the whole time. You're more with each other than for your own girlfriend or whatever. Because
Wild
you're chilling.
letters, no more.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can go search the archives, man. It's all there. It's crazy, but yeah, Wild Letters No More. I'm like, okay, and I'm stuck with this name, Wild Letters. I'm like, because I'm the guy making the music. The bandmate was just the drummer, so he was just filling in some percussion stuff. So I was like, man, wow, how am I gonna get rid of this name? So I'm thinking of like names now, and I'm stuck with Wild Letters. Everybody knows me as Wild Letters, and I'm like, I don't want to be stuck as Wild Letters anymore. How am I going to do this? I'm thinking of all these names. Every name is just so cheesy. Every time I think of a name, I'm like, okay. And then, you know, like you have this name, you repeat it to yourself. You're like, nah, it's just. So that's how I got to like eventually just Reinhardt Buhr. But anyway, rewind. Long story short, yeah, I moved away from George, the garden route, because a lot of people say small town syndrome. You're like, you know, you're just partying. There's nothing else to do. Get away. I'm like, how am I going to escape this? Like, I need to start my life over. So I'm like, okay, let's move to Cape Town. Let's start over fresh. Stop the drugs. Stop that stuff. So I moved to Cape Town. And funny enough, about 2 weeks in, I'm like, don't have a place yet. I'm like a friend from George as well. He's moving to Cape Town, and I'm like, great, okay. So he's also moving to Cape Town. Let's move into a place together. So move into a place together, and next moment I know he is addicted to cocaine and everything. So I was like, okay, here we go again.
It's chasing you.
So it's chasing me, and everybody, all of a sudden, the circle opens up. Cape Town. Oh my days, bro. It's like, it's not a small town syndrome. It is a global syndrome. Yeah. So yeah, it starts over again. So bad cycle. Fast forward 2 years to a point where, you know, I met my girlfriend back at the time. We went through the transition, and we. It was bad, man. I'm not going to go into all the details, but just it went to the point of life and death. It was literally life and death. And I remember going onto a mountain in Clovelly, Fishhook side, going up the mountain, and I was faced with life and death right there. Like, I can't go into too much details, unfortunately. But when I saw death, I saw life as well. When I just went on my knees, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. God, you need to step in. I'm done.
Yeah.
And that moment was the turning point where I had this overwhelming just grace and power filling me from, I believe, obviously, the Holy Spirit coming in and changing my life. And my girlfriend back at the time, she was like, what are you doing? All of a sudden, I went from this completely drug-crazed, alcoholic, smoking nutcase to anointing the house with oil. Like that. Like, I mean, and I went into a fast, like just 3-day water fast. I couldn't even read the Bible. I was like just looking at these words. I'm reading it and it just goes out again. So I'm like, after that 3-day fast, it was just something just opened up. I could actually read it, understand it. And I just went to the closest church, like down the road, called the Full Gospel Church, Fullies. Went there, and that's where the change started. Like, it was tough because now this whole like life that is so like on me still is dying out. And it was profound. The change was profound. I was playing music, and I was like, I felt so empty playing music. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm looking at all these people, hundreds of people looking at me while I'm playing, and I've got these thoughts of like, what am I doing? Like, I'm blowing the didgeridoo, stomping my feet, playing, and these thoughts in my head goes like, what am I doing? What am I doing? It almost felt like in that moment, I just want to stop and run away. But in that moment, I was like, okay, God, I'm gonna play for you. I'm not gonna play for anybody here. And at that moment, it was just the energy that came into me to be able to play. I could play all day without getting tired.
Amazing.
And it just, the music changed, everything's changed. And I was still busking at the waterfront when that happened. And there was like hundreds of people watching. And then all of a sudden, like people just like buying CDs. I would sell like 250 CDs a day.
At the waterfront?
At the waterfront.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and,
a lot, bro. Wow,
yeah.
that's
And then all of a
crazy.
sudden we're like, you know, like we don't know what to do with like, I'm not saying if you find Jesus, you'll find prosperity. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just
That's
saying
cool.
my life changed.
That's
My
cool.
focus changed.
Yeah.
I was sober. I was like following.
And the
this thing.
blessings were coming.
Yeah.
What is busking like?
Busking is very, you need to humble yourself. Because in Europe, busking is frowned upon. Because
Okay.
beggars would busk.
Okay.
Most of the time you would walk in Europe, you would see a person next to the road playing a guitar and he's got 3 buckets. One bucket would say meth, other bucket would say alcohol, other bucket would say heroin. And people would put their money into whatever drugs they want to sponsor this guy. Literally.
Is
in
that
Berlin.
real?
In Berlin. I promise you. In
Sure,
Berlin.
that's crazy.
Warschauer Straße, man. It is a
That's crazy.
crazy place. But I'll get into that just now. But anyway, long story short, that's kind of where the initial
Turning point.
spark was. But it was tough because I had to die to this old life and find this new life. So there's a lot of sacrifices. And yeah.
Two things for me that stood out that I think is extremely powerful about your story. Number one was that you first had to empty your tank before you could fill your tank again. You were hanging on to such negative energy because of things that you've done, because of our own actions. We very little like want to take accountability.
Yeah.
We want to say, okay, I'm done with this now, and then move on. Now you want to start filling your cup with the new things, with all the positive things, but there's no space. So one thing I will definitely say I can relate to is letting go first.
Yeah.
First, let go of
That's the
unhealthy habits, unhealthy people. First, let go. You need to make space for what's new.
Yeah.
And then you can open the Bible, like in your example, and you can actually digest. Because before you couldn't, and a lot of people get frustrated by that season where they open the Bible and they say, no, but I did try. I did try to change. I did try to go to gym. I did try. But you didn't empty the tank first. You still got all that stuff that's taking up space.
And just to add, some will say that, I mean, you could have gone to a rehab, and I've tried so many different things to get away. I mean, even moved out of town, started a new life, and it still followed me back. So I was like, to those people that's saying that, you will find it through other means as well. Yes, I'm sure there are means that you'll find it, but put those same person that was addicted to drugs for many years and put him in the same environment after that, each and single every day, and see if he doesn't relapse.
Yeah.
So luckily no relapse. I can only give Christ the glory for that.
That's
But
cool.
Yeah, man.
And it's something you were saying. It's something I say every year for the last 3 years. When you start a new year, stop writing down all the things you want to start.
Yeah.
And write down the things you want to stop first.
Amazing.
Because if you don't stop those things, the very things you try and start will be killed. It's like if you're going to plant a flower, pull the weeds out first before you plant the flower. The weed's going to kill what you're trying to grow.
Yeah. It's almost as if in order to find success, you must be willing to sacrifice something first.
Yeah.
You can't just go and get it.
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice. You must put something down on the table first. And that's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
They want to get all the success, but want to do nothing for it.
sure.
They don't want to lose out on anything. And it just doesn't work like that. As soon as I know I'm willing to sacrifice something, there is definitely a reward waiting for me.
Yeah.
And that motivates me. And that comes back to the second thing that I found very powerful about what you said, is that you were playing for so many people, but you didn't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And to a point where you were almost ready to walk away. It did nothing for you. But then as soon as you said, God, I'm playing for you, automatically it just filled you
With
with
purpose,
everything that you needed. You could play in the empty
Alignment.
room.
Yeah.
You would still play the
Exactly.
same and be fulfilled. And that for me is what success is
Yeah.
to feel fulfilled by what you're doing in your life, to feel purposeful,
Yeah.
to find your purpose. And when you are purposeful, I can bet that you motivate and inspire so many more people that you can't even count. I mean, look at the CD sales, for example, spiked up because
Yeah.
people were motivated and they can feel that energy. They can feel it's coming from the right place. So that's super powerful, brother.
It's like you get aligned with your purpose.
yeah.
You can take religion out of it. It's when you align yourself with purpose and you're doing it with the right intention for the right reason within yourself, the rest flows.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something as you were speaking. I feel like something I realized over the last couple of months is that we're so quick to encourage people to chase their dreams. Yeah, we speak about that a lot in this culture, right?
Yeah.
But why don't we start by encouraging people to chase discipline?
Yeah.
Because if you chase discipline, your dreams will follow.
Yeah. Yeah, don't chase anything. Take your time with your dreams.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Just develop the
Patience,
self-discipline.
I feel like for me personally, it becomes more guaranteed if I take my time with it.
Yeah.
As soon as I put a time limit to it or I
Yeah.
compare myself to somebody else, immediately I set myself up for failure.
Very important.
But as soon as I go, you know what, as long as this happens for me, I'm just going to keep trying. I enjoy the process of it all.
For sure. But you need the discipline.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm with you.
Self-control.
I'm with you. Just I think that word, a lot of the time people are allergic to the word discipline.
Yeah.
And we can all relate in some way,
Sure.
shape, or form. It's not easy. We would all love to develop discipline. But you are absolutely right. The direction you should be running is not towards your dreams first, because you won't get there without the discipline first.
For sure.
Agreed, bro.
100%. Nice.
So basically the change happens. Your life turns around 360. You are now where you've wanted to be for a long time, for a very long time, so by the sounds of it. And now your life starts, as you say, you're 26 years old.
28.
At the
It's
time.
about 28.
28 years old at the time.
I don't know.
28 years old. There's another lesson for people out there. Like when you leave school, that doesn't mean that your life starts there, because you don't get a lot of time at school to learn about yourself. And that's really when you start to learn about life, or start your life, is when you know yourself well, when you've come into alignment. Let's say you found your purpose. So now you're 28 years old, bro, and your life starts. And now you're developing your own personal brand. You let go of Wild Letters. You let go of the band, the name. Now you're starting Reinhardt Buhr. What happens then?
So we're playing at the waterfront. I'm playing local shows here and there, nothing too crazy. And that's how, like I've got this new purpose now as well. And
Can I interrupt you?
yes,
For the audience,
yes.
can you tell them exactly what
Yeah.
it is that you do? Just in case, because now
Okay,
we're
cool,
assuming
cool,
that
cool.
everybody
Yeah,
knows.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, the best is to go obviously and check it out yourself.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Link will be below.
So live looping is I would say the essence of what I do in terms of music. And I am a multi-instrumentalist as well, which means I play a lot of instruments. I love playing a lot of instruments. I don't do it because I'm like, yeah, I can play a lot of instruments just because it's a lot of instruments, but because I started with guitar. I then started playing like the Australian didgeridoo, and then I started playing cello, and then I started playing all sorts of different instruments. But each instrument gives you a complete different approach to music. So like piano is very like, everything, all the notes are in front of you. With cello, it's like you almost don't know what you're doing. You're playing with so much more emotion. There's so much more expression. Not that piano doesn't have that, obviously it does, but it's just two different worlds in terms of sound and sonic possibilities. And guitar, again, you have all these weird chords, and you just like, a lot of times you have happy accidents. So it's that process of just having a different musical approach every time. And then the live looping aspect comes in, which brings all these instruments together at a live show, for instance. So if I play live, I create kind of like this whole orchestra of sounds.
Yeah.
And it's evolved to so many different genres. I'm experimenting with melodic house, melodic techno, just like cinematic ambient music, many different kind of styles of genres. And the essence of it as well is improvisational, which means it's music created in the moment. So it's every time it's different for me and for the audience. So it keeps it fresh for the audience and for me. I mean, I used to play covers when I was like in the band and stuff as well. And I kind of hated it because people were like, "Oh, play the song. They know this song, so you always play the same song." I'm like, eventually you do it like literally mindlessly. You just play the song. You can almost have complete different other thoughts. I don't like that. I like to put myself on the edge. And it is very difficult. Like there's a lot of room for error. I mean, I just watched as I said, I watched a documentary last night of Avicii, and he had his show when he brought in actual musicians for the first time. I mean, he's a DJ. So the first time he brought in actual music people at this Ultra in Miami, it's one of the biggest EDM festivals in the world. And they started, and everybody was like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, people are starting to boo him, booing Avicii. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of hectic. And then the whole sound just flopped. I mean, you're talking about millions of dollars of levels of production that these guys have.
Yeah.
And they couldn't pull like live instrumentation off. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense because I had serious failures in my life. And I looked back at them and I'm like, they still haunt me. They like still like, they're there. They're watching me when I go and set up.
Can you tell us one? Just one bad experience.
Oh man, it's when it happens, it feels like your whole world is crumbling down at that moment because people have this expectation. They see you, they see you come. I mean, just for instance, I played a show 2 months ago in Saudi Arabia, in the middle of the desert. The video is actually dropping this Sunday, so you guys can check it out on my YouTube channel. In the middle of the desert, so mission to get there. It's so hot. It's their winter and it's like scorching. Get there, set up everything. Everything goes perfectly for the sound check. And I'm talking about setting up in the sun in the day to play at night. As I start playing, my loops just go out of sync and this whole thing just like bombs out. Everybody's like listening, waiting, expectation, and this whole set just like falls down. It flops. I'm like, no, this is not happening. I literally had to improvise and rip this one device out and plug other devices in, open a different set. Anyway, long story short, that's just one example. It's like, the producers, the managers, everybody, they like, what's happening? They're whispering in your ears what's happening while I'm busy trying to get everything ready. Everybody's watching. It's madness.
How long did it take you to fix?
It felt like 4 hours. Probably 20 minutes, I guess, I hope. But the whole set, I had to like tweak and do things because this was an old set that I had to take that wasn't prepared or sound checked at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of crazy stuff. I had festivals where the sound just cuts out completely. No reason at all. The computer crash or whatever.
Nature of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it's hard, but it keeps you on your edge, and that's where I'm coming back to. I like being on the edge. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps me alive. I don't feel like going just through the motions.
Yeah.
I feel like every time this is something new. I want to do something new. Every show is something new.
And an opportunity for you to really connect with your audience.
Yes.
Because we speak for people, for different groups of people, whether it's schools or whatever it may be. And it's always important and necessary when you go into a room that you anticipate the crowd, that you learn from the audience. Because if, for example, I tell a joke at a school, that joke might not fly when I'm speaking to a group of adults. You know what I'm saying? So for you, it's the same. Every group will be different. Every country that you're performing in is different. Like you told us before. So the culture in Europe, because the countries are so close to one another, they all have their own identity as a country, but yet they can all chop and change and go travel to different countries. So you need to learn about your crowd quite quickly and then still improv on the spot.
Yeah, no, it is a challenge.
But I mean, out of all those embarrassing, if you want to call it, or crazy moments, what are some of the lessons that you can take out of them for yourself?
Oh, it's hard lessons. It's good lessons. I mean, you have to. That's why I always encourage people when they get into this kind of music or just music in general is listen to people that's been doing it for many years because they have the experience, they can show you. And I was just like, I'm just one of those people that didn't have that kind of mentorship because I started so late and I just every day going into it like almost blind. But now I've learned a lot. I mean, the years of experience doing it myself has given me a lot of things to do to prevent stuff like that, obviously, and to make it better and to just make everything better.
But I mean, in those moments, I can relate in some way.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a talk at a school or doing a motivational talk, and all of a sudden you go blank, and this is something you do for a living.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is that I've learned the hard way is not to panic.
Yeah. Yeah.
To stay calm.
Definitely.
Because in human nature, we do panic. And I found in the early days when I did panic, I was even more blank.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
you know, so, and it's not easy, but you got to learn to try and stay calm in chaotic situations and do the best you can, control what you can.
And that's same with the producer from Saudi Arabia. He was like, he just asked me, is everything okay? And then he realized, okay, he needs to back off now because he can see I was like in this process of getting the set ready. So he's not going to bother me. So he chased away the camera guy because the camera guy was like, yeah. I was like, no. Okay. So anyway, so that's, luckily.
And the gig turned out well.
Amazing at the end of the day. Yeah. So
was it hot at night as well?
Perfect at night.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Little breeze with a bit
Little
of warmth.
nice. There's a breeze and yeah.
That must have been such a cool experience,
In
man.
the
Lights
middle of the desert.
in the
It was.
desert where there's some camels.
Funny enough, I didn't even see a camel. I was like, where's going to be the camels? Like, no camels. Saudi Arabia, man. Riyadh, the main city. I was like, wow, this looks like Vegas. The place was so big.
That's why they do the UFC there so much, eh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I saw, the only time I saw a camel was on a billboard. So, yeah.
But don't you find that we travel for work? Don't you find that we don't often get to enjoy the country for what it is? You know what I mean? Like, because you're there to work, and most of the time you're in, and then it just gets busy, and it feels like sometimes you only realize or only learn about the hotel that you're living in, and then the place that you're working at, and then you're gone again. I mean, I went to London once for a job, and I was there for 48 hours. I flew to London. Now, the flight is about 20-something. So I was traveling for the same amount of time that I was working there. And in that 48 hours that I worked, I chose not to sleep. So what I did was I worked. When I was finished working, I traveled from Richmond and I went to London, to the Central. Yeah. My cousin was staying there. He was playing cricket. Byron, shout out Byron, rest in peace. And he looked after me for 24 hours. And he took off from his work as well. And I got like a hotel room just for us to take a nap. And he took me to Oxford Street and we shopped the whole day. And he took me to the Big Ben and wherever we could go. And it was raining. We were like traveling around with umbrellas. That guy was like on a mission. He said, no, I'm going to show you whatever I can today. And we had such an incredible time. That's the odd occasion that I got to see some places. But I mean, that's how quick things happen. And then you're gone again.
I'm actually playing London. My first show is going to be London from this tour coming.
So you got a tour coming up now. And it's going to be for a month.
A month and a week.
A month and a week.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, you said, how many countries are you traveling to?
Around 15.
15 different countries.
Yeah.
And the total number of shows?
20 shows.
20 shows.
Yeah. We're still getting shows. Literally yesterday we got 4 more shows. So like, okay.
so 20 at the moment, but
no, with those 4,
still,
it looks like 20.
Still building.
Yeah.
Incredible.
But its capacity is pretty much.
And is the wife and the kid going with?
We did a tour back in 2023.
Yeah.
With the kid. The kid was a year old.
Yes.
And that was the biggest challenge of
I know, I've traveled with kids. It's not easy, eh?
Yeah.
So just for instance, like we did a small Europe tour and little 1-year-old loved it. We were driving so much because we were driving from Hungary to France, back from France to Hungary. And that was about 30 hours of driving. And every time we will drive to the next location, she will have her beauty nap in the car. And then we get tired. Next place, she's awake at 1 a.m. in the morning. So that was a challenge.
It's a tough one, eh?
Yeah.
There's something about driving that soothes the babies, I've got the same with Milan. So then you got your tour that's coming up now. You're going to travel to 20 different countries. And you have grown to be quite popular in the world. But I would say mainly Europe. Yeah. Your biggest following comes from Europe. Right. And then you touched on your YouTube channel quite a bit. You have 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. When did your YouTube journey start? Because that's quite interesting. And 500,000 is not a joke, bro. Especially coming from South Africa. That's big numbers. Thanks. Tell us about that.
So, I mean, the big thing started actually in Facebook. Facebook is a platform frowned upon by a lot of people. They just don't even bother with Facebook. But that's kind of where it started. And it's on 1.1 million followers now. Not that I have to boast or anything about it. It's just I'm very grateful for it.
What's 1.1 million?
On Facebook
on
page.
Facebook.
Oh, your page has that many followers?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
So that's kind of where it started. So that, I think, trickled over and it sparked YouTube as well. But to just rewind to get to that point, so basically how that started, I will try and make it as short as possible. It started with, at the end of getting into this new life, everything like playing at the waterfront, busking, and meeting a lot of people at the waterfront. As you know, the waterfront's very much a lot of tourists,
Yeah.
a lot of especially Europeans,
Yeah.
and so many people like come up to me and like, hey, if you ever come to Europe, you have a place to stay, or come play at this place, or do this or do that. And we're like, cool, awesome, And this was going on for like probably a year, 2 years, 2 years going on like this, playing at the waterfront. Just so many people saying, hey, if you ever come to Europe, you have a place to stay. So we're like, okay, let's do this. So my girlfriend and I got married, and the following day, the day after, we actually went to Europe. We've never been overseas. Well, I've only been to Zanzibar, but doesn't really count. But for us, first time ever going overseas, and we were like, okay, you know what? Let's sell everything we owned in our place. I gave my brother my car. I was like, we're gonna probably move to Europe. We didn't even know what was gonna happen. We're just like, okay,
Let's go.
we maxed out our Schengen visa, 3 months. Okay, let's go to Europe. Let's go to Germany. Let's take these people up on their offer, because so many people are like saying, hey, come stay here. Come stay here. So we're like, okay, we're coming to Europe. So these people were like, cool, come stay at our place. So first place, Düsseldorf, Germany. And this is kind of where this little story is just kind of where the whole thing went from. So, for instance, it went from me being a busker, musician, playing gigs to where I'm now. This is the reason. And we went to Germany. I have no idea what to expect. We get to Germany and sold everything. I sold my instruments, literally all my instruments, everything I owned.
Yeah.
Literally, just some clothes. So we got to Germany, and I had this guy in South Africa that sent me this handpan instrument. I don't know if you guys know what a handpan hang drum is. Yeah. It's very expensive. It's like the originals is like 150,000 Rand for one. But this guy in South Africa made it for like very cheap. But he gave me one, so I got it when I was in Germany. I got it for the first time, so great. I had this thing. So we got into Cologne, Germany. That's where we're going to start. Our destination is Berlin, because that's like where people say that's the busking capital. That's where it's like happening. So we're like, okay, we get to Cologne. Now I'm like, okay, now we need to buy all this equipment. So I'm going, we're buying the loop station, because I'm a loop artist. I just took my cello, actually. I think my cello and my guitar. Sorry. That's the only 2 things I took. Yeah. Cello and guitar, and the rest we sold. So I bought everything in Germany. They don't have power, so we had to buy car battery and inverter to get, power. So it's that alone was like a nightmare. So it literally looks like you planting a bomb next to the road with all the wires and everything. So we buy everything, spend our last money, literally took the train. Our last money was the train to go to Cologne and busk that day. Get to Cologne, we just see thousands of people. We had the Dome, one of the biggest cathedrals in the world. Massive thing. We get there, we're like, okay, we're going to be so rich because there's so many people. We're going to this is going to be great. So we get there and we're starting to set up, and first time ever. And all of a sudden, 5 police officers in black clothes surrounds us. And they're like, if you play with that amplification music, we're going to charge you 5,000 euros.
Yo.
We're like, whoa, what? Like our whole world just came crumbling down, because we needed to make money. That's how we made money. There was no online income whatsoever. So we're like, and we didn't have family that could support us as well. We kind of like, we're on our own. And so, wow, okay, now we can't play. We're like, no, this can't happen. We just go down the road. Let's go there where it's a little bit, more obscure. We go there, set up again. Same police officers come. They're like, no, they're gonna fine you 5,000 euro, and they're gonna confiscate your equipment if they see you again. So we're like, no way. And we look at the cameras on the streets, like they have cameras everywhere. They're monitoring everything. The Germans are like on it. I'm like, I don't know, what are we doing? So we're like, okay, we go back to, we were staying at this lady that gave her apartment for us for like 2 weeks in Cologne. So we went back. no money. We didn't even pay the train ticket. Because we couldn't, literally. So we're like, we don't know what to do. So I was like, oh, man, I need to sell my laptop. I had this Mac 2015, good Mac that time, back then. And that was like our only way of doing admin, right? So I took the Mac. I'm like, this is it. I go to the probably the only like place where we could sell it in Cologne, and we're like there. The guy offers us like $4,000 for it, 4,000 rand. The thing was 25,000 rand. So we're like, no way. We like this is crazy, but we needed money. So eventually, I'm like, we're walking back and forth. Eventually, I'm like, all right, let's just do it.
Sure.
We need to eat. So humble beginnings. So we go there and we're like, okay, here we go. And the guy looks at the laptop. He's like, oh, sorry, I can't buy it because the keyboard is different than our keyboards. It's not QWERTY, it's something different.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. Okay, so we go and sell the laptop. So we're like, what are we gonna do? I have this hand pen. I have this pipe of a didgeridoo. I don't know if you guys know what a didgeridoo is, but that kind of vibe. And I was like, okay, you know what? After 3 days, we're like, we need to make money now. So we went and illegally took the train
again
to the same spot. And this time, no amplification. So I took this drum, this hand pan, and this didgeridoo, and I just sat on my butt on the road, and I just started playing. Started making some sense, like people throwing coins. We could start buying food, buy toilet paper.
All good, bro.
Oh man, so yeah, we started. Something happened. I was like, but I was playing on this thing for like hours. My hands were like, my bones were like done because it's a piece of metal.
Yeah.
So and I have to play hard because the people need to hear it, and there's thousands of people. So yeah, that's how it started, man. And then we're like, okay, we need to get to Berlin because that's where we could actually play amplification music. So it's like 2 weeks into that Cologne experience, we made enough. We found a train ticket that's like just enough. We literally had just enough to get to Berlin and start. And we get to Berlin after the craziest train ride ever. And I've got this instrument on this trolley, pushing this instrument, no cover for it. This thing is so expensive. This is how we got here in the first place. And as we got to Berlin, this drug dealer runs up to me. He's like, do you want to buy, I think it was maybe cocaine or whatever, but he's like in my face, and the hang drum falls. And it falls on the ground. But that thing is not allowed to fall. Even if you just nick it with a fork, it goes out of tune.
Yeah.
The whole thing just broke. And I was like, no way. This is our entry to Berlin.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. So yeah, going into Berlin, and we started playing. Got stopped by the police again, and they told us, no, you can't play with amplification. We're like, what? There's other people playing with amplification. So there was this gray zone of, there's so many buskers. There's like thousands of buskers in Berlin. We got to Mauer Park the one day, the Sunday. Mauer Park is the place between the it was no man's land, where they would shoot you on the spot if they saw you. So now it's basically a park where everybody just makes music. So we get there. There's literally like, man, just probably around 30 bands playing at the same time everywhere. So it's just like a
festival,
a wall of sound everywhere. This guy playing music there, you set up here, this guy, and you just crank your system as loud as you can.
Crazy.
Man, my battery would cut out literally like thousands of times. We started making money. We could actually afford staying in dorms. Crazy, like just staying in dorms where people just like do their thing openly. It was a very humbling experience. And that lasted 40 days. That whole thing of like not having a house, not having a place to properly sleep privately. 40 days, and then we finally made enough money to get our own little place in Berlin that was a house. And then from there on, I believe that 40 days was for us was like a parallel to like the 40 days in the desert vibe.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
it's amazing all the stuff you went through. Hey, the hardship, the sacrifice, and even you talking about your hands.
Yeah.
You know, after hitting that drum for so long, but you had to keep going because you were pursuing something.
Yeah. So Berlin was where we met. This is just coming full circle back to how the YouTube channel blew up. We met this person in, she was like this filming stuff on the streets. So she was just filming us on the streets. Actually, I have the videos now. If you go look at it at Warschauer Strasse, that is the most craziest place you'll ever probably see in your life. And a lot of, even Germans will say that. They would just say Berlin is like, it's not part of Germany. It's
Sure.
so rough. You get nice places. It's interesting. But yeah, so met this lady. She recorded us and got back to South Africa eventually, you know, just bought everything back here again. And she came to film. Well, she wanted to come to South Africa. And we're like, yeah, come stay with us. And she came down and she filmed our stuff at the waterfront. And those videos we posted, and they went viral.
Okay.
And those few videos, that was the same day, one day, that was about 5 videos, they accumulated 500 million views across Facebook and YouTube now. So it's like Unilad I don't know if you guys know Unilad Sound, they shared it, and Music Man shared it. And I remember seeing Music Man sharing it for the first time, and in 10 minutes it got like 100,000 views or something.
Damn.
I was like, okay, wow, what's this?
Mm.
You know, what's this? So we were only doing this thing, have to be there to make it ends meet. Now all of a sudden this thing goes viral and people started buying digital downloads and stuff just exploded from there. And Unilads shared it, and that video got 55 million views. That's just the one video, and we're like, okay,
Wow.
this is now. And then all of a sudden YouTube got triggered and that went viral, and
Sure.
the whole cycle.
Amazing
Crazy.
story, hey?
Yeah, brother.
Wow.
It also for me, what I find so inspirational about that is the level of your talent. You know, the power of your talent, but yet in your environment where you were playing at the waterfront or Busking, it doesn't feel like it's on any level, even close to that. And you're in that moment, and it feels, I wouldn't say it's a lower level, but it's a more humbling experience.
Yep.
Right? You're using that word a lot. I love that. And then the video goes viral, and you can truly see your worth in the video. You can truly see your worth in the reach. You can see how many other people, millions of people, hundreds of millions of people around the world are enjoying your sound. When there's only a few hundred standing around you, or even maybe a few thousand, you can really see your worth when that video hits. And that's a cool eye-opener, because as humbling as the experiences were, staying in dormitories, suffering, going through challenges, you woken up to, it was all worth it. It was all worth it, because all the work I was putting in is going somewhere clearly.
Yeah.
So I think that's so inspirational, bro. It's so powerful and magical, and it's a good eye-opener for all the viewers today. If you're currently in an environment or a situation in your life and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, you're just not there yet.
Yes.
That's it. Just don't forget that as long as you're on your
going.
way,
I love
that's
that.
the most important thing,
That's
bro.
it.
Super
That's
powerful.
That's it. I mean, and that's so powerful because the sores on your hands had its purpose.
Yeah.
If you had said to yourself, my hands are too sore, I'm not doing this, and taken a week or two off, maybe you wouldn't be sitting here in the position you are.
For sure.
So you might, as
Even-
Blake said, you might not be where you are,
Yeah.
but keep going where you're at.
Even the 3 days without eating, taking that last train back without having any money to pay for it.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind in those 3 days, you're not mentioning it now because you rise above it, you push forward. But when you don't eat, how do you feel? Let's be honest, the
Not so good.
hoga start creeping into your brain, you're getting frustrated.
Especially for you.
Yeah, definitely. I love food. And you got your lady with you, so it's like, you feel responsible, you got to make sure she's sorted as well. And then that's why you would play till your hands were blue, till your bones were breaking. And I just think that's also something important that people need to remember. It's through the worst times that you become your best.
Yeah.
Through the absolute worst times, you become your best. So the next time you're going through something tough, just remind yourself that you need to be there in order to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
For all the greatness that's coming your way, because it is coming your way.
Well said.
You unfortunately have to be there. It's just part of the process.
100%.
Yeah.
Bro, I think your story is so incredible, so amazing to meet you and chat with you. I
Yeah,
feel like we
guys
can
too.
talk for hours.
Thanks for having me.
And I just wanted to ask you, as someone that has dreams and you as a dreamer, setting your goals, as someone that defeats challenges, I love your mindset and how you push through and just come up with another plan. I see you like that. You know, every time you just think, okay, now what can I do next?
Yeah, resilient.
What is next for you in terms of a dream or a goal that you currently have in mind for yourself?
Oh man, it might sound weird, it might sound cliche, but I'm not after fame at all. It's nothing that I'm after seeking, but there's the higher purpose that I have obtained. I want this message to reach the whole world. So if I can gain more followers and subscribers than Mr. Beast, I'm all for it.
Love it.
For that purpose, not for my own purpose.
Love it.
For the purpose of sharing the good news, which is what Christ did for us, and I hope that for everybody.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And thank you for that.
Cool.
For being selfless, you know. and often people reach a destination or achieve something and they keep it for themselves. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to share a little bit of it with everybody.
Yeah.
And spark it within them. And I think that's amazing. So thank you for that, brother.
Awesome.
Before we close off today's episode, unfortunately, all good things come to an end. We have a special question for you. Jay Smooth.
The special question is, if you could be any gibbet, what would you be and why? On the spot.
On the spot. On
Yeah.
the spot. On the spot. If I
You can make one up as well. You
can
remember,
make
Crocs
one.
have
Yeah,
Crocs
yeah,
has
They probably have it.
mostly everything you can think of. So if you could be any gibbet that represents you, what would it be?
I would be an eagle.
Eagle.
Nice.
Is that your animal?
Not really. What is my animal? Good question. Actually, I think probably not a wolf. A wolf is too like.
Wolves are cool.
Wolves are cool.
I think
yeah.
wolf's my animal, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I would say wolf, but maybe tiger.
I like
it.
giraffes. I don't know why.
Ah,
Yeah. They fascinate me.
that's true. Very, not
They're
a
very-
very common
they're
animal you hear somebody choose.
Yeah. I don't know. I got a fascination with giraffes. I'm going to be true to myself.
And you have
Awesome.
a normal size neck, so I don't know. Why did the eagle come to your mind?
Just like soaring, flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brother Reinhard, I just want to say to you, thank you so much. Thank you for
you.
your time.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
for your story. Thank you for all the powerful messages that you left with us today and lessons. There was a lot of lessons in this episode as well. People to take home for you, for your dreams, for your
Yeah.
success. And we just want to say we wish you well on the tour. Safe travel, safe journey. We're looking forward to seeing you elevating. We also got to hit that subscribe button on his channel. We'll put it down in the description below. Let's get that followers up. Mr. Beast is a big target
Yeah,
to
we come.
chase. But you heard the reason why. You know it's coming from the best place ever, guys. So let's go give him a follow as well. And just thank you, bro. We hope that our paths cross again. We have a school tour called the Best Foot Forward School Tour.
Awesome.
We'll go around to primary schools and high schools in South Africa. For now, we're going to go global one day, you know. And we wanted to know if you're keen to join us on the school tour in the future.
Awesome. Yeah. Let me know.
100%.
Come and jam for the kids.
Yeah.
Share your story.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Where are you guys starting?
We do it every year, and this year we're reaching a new goal where we're going to try and go to the most schools we've ever been to in a year.
Nice.
So there's more than enough opportunities. Yeah, primary schools, high schools, all the way in your side of the world as well, Fishhoek area, all over South Africa. We also want to expand Eastern Cape. We're going to go Durban, Joburg, all of those things. So
Amazing.
we'll let you know.
Amazing.
Looking forward to having you on board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cool, guys. So we close off today's episode. Reinhard, what an amazing guest. What an amazing story. Lots of lessons learned today and super inspirational. That's why I love the show so much. Before we close off today, as you guys will know, we got 3 special gifts for you here.
Yeah.
A free pair of Crocs for the most enthusiastic viewers today. All you have to do is like, share, comment, show love, share it on your social media platforms. We'll be looking for you. And the 3 most enthusiastic people get a free pair of Crocs. Jay Smooth.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe. Turn on that notification so you don't miss any episodes. And as Blake said, comment, share, show the love. This episode was super inspiring.
Big shout out to Crocs. We love you guys as always, and we'll see you at the next episode of the Catch Up Podcast. Peace.
Peace.
Damn sick weed.